little bit under the weather, but I stopped for no one, not even a cold. So I felt compelled to make this little lecture video here about how to become a full-time artist in 3 steps. It took a lot of years to get here, and I've made this as sort of an overview that I wish a younger version of myself had, maybe when I was 16 or even 18, and this would have sped up my journey quite a bit. And so I'm going to share this with you guys today. And then just a disclaimer, this is going to be a wide focus overview, so I'm not going to be talking about like cold outreach strategies or lead generation or how to get clients, right? This is going to be more of a holistic understanding of what it takes to be a full-time artist. Let's get started. So I broke it down into 3 steps. The first step is to create every single day. So the best artists in the world, the people who are able to make a living with what they do, they create every single day. So you may be wondering, why create every day? So if you're like me, there's the sense of this intense desire within me to make something. I legitimately feel depressed when I'm not making something, and that's something that is hopefully not just unique to my experience, but if you're watching this, you may feel the same way. I feel the need to create to feed my soul, right? It feels like it's my purpose in the world. And what exactly is my purpose? So, this will change as you get older, and mine has certainly changed over the years. But right now, at the time of recording this, my purpose in the world is to, 1, change the way people interact with the world. And I know that seems kind of vague, and I'll explain that a little bit down the line. And then I also want to inspire others to live out their purpose by being an example of someone who has, okay? So it's change the way people interact with the world, and it's to inspire others, right? And so the way that you do this, first step, is to build lifelong skills, okay? So you've probably heard this a lot, but I'm gonna break it down really easy for you. Being skilled at something, or multiple things, which is even better, is one of the highest forms of leverage that you have. One day, your material possessions can be lost. So your car, your watch, your clothes, your home. Your status can be lost. Your reputation could be tarnished. You could no longer be seen as the forefront of your industry, for example. But the information in your head can never be taken from you, right? The information that you have stored up here and all of your experiences and the skills that you've developed can never be taken from you. You'll always be able to make money if you can do something that others can't. And of course, from a business perspective, that means that the market has to actually want what you do. But most times, what you do is something that the market wants. You just haven't found a way to communicate what it is that people want clearly, okay? So if this is a little too long, I can say this shortly. Why do you create every day? You want to stay aligned with your purpose, and you want to learn the skills necessary to build the life you want, okay? So you might be asking, what do I create every day? So for me personally, I create things that align with my purpose. So they take the form of these here. So whether that's a film or a video that shows some sort of unique perspective or take on the world that challenges people to think differently, or opens their eyes to maybe an idea that they didn't think about or know about. Digital art, which could just be entertainment, something that looks cool, something that's interesting, or to create an experience that somebody hasn't seen before and maybe will allow them to see something that's straight from your imagination, and that can be inspiring, right? And then of course there's more tangible things, like if you're a tech guy, software for sure, creating tools or plugins for people to use, right, that will save people time. That's an easy way to create things that people will want. Same goes for like websites, being able to communicate a brand's message or your message. Advertisements, physical products. Just take Apple, for example, the iPod, the iPhone, this webcam that I'm recording on, right? This is changing the way that people interact with the world on a daily basis. The reason that I'm even, making this video here is because I have the tools required to do so, like my computer. and knowledge of the software here to create this kind of lecture, right? And so some of these things serve to entertain others, some serve to inspire, and some serve to do both while generating revenue at the same time. And while I'm creating these things, I'm making sure that I'm learning something new with every project, and I'm working on a new project every day, okay? So what you want to do here is you want to find what things you can create that help align with your purpose and also ensure that you are learning, growing, and acquiring in-demand skills. So today, here are some in-demand skills, right? You got web design, SEO, web development, graphic design, digital art, social media, copywriting, marketing and sales, audio production, video editing, programming. Goes down the list, right? And then there's these skills here that are timeless, okay? That's gonna be fitness and health, nutrition, philosophy, spirituality. From the beginning of time, people have been trying to find the answers to these things and writing about them and sharing these kind of ideas with others, right? And then at the core, it all comes down to these skills: speaking, reading, and writing, right? I mean, these skills now are taken for granted if you have some sort of education. But in reality, the way that you communicate ideas is either through writing, speaking, or reading other people's ideas, right? And from a business perspective, these align with the eternal markets, which are health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Of course, I spelled that wrong. But these are the in-demand skills that you should be learning, right? Especially these timeless skills here. People can't take these away from you. That's why it's important to be working on these every single day, right? So now you're probably thinking, how do I create every day? Well, the way that I've found to do it is to become inspired by the world around me. So I feed off the energy of my environment. I immerse myself in my interests. What's interesting to me might not be interesting to everybody, but if I create what's interesting to me, eventually I will get others to become interested in it. And if not, they don't have to look at what I make, and that's okay. You have to allow yourself to fail or create something bad, because creating something is better than creating nothing. And at the start, you're probably gonna make some stuff that's bad, and that's just the reality of it. You need to create your own environment where you can focus on creating without distraction. So whether that's your home studio where you make things, or you go to the library and you put in some AirPods and you get the work done, right? So a little bit more, tangible ideas are, setting constraints or due dates. I gotta finish this project by this time, giving yourself a certain amount of days to finish something, or limiting yourself to a specific amount of tools. So if I'm gonna do a painting or a drawing, maybe I limit it to black and white or to a certain page size, right? That'll help make sure that you finish these things. And that's important. You wanna finish small projects to build your confidence, right? And I think one of the most important things that separates somebody who just does art and somebody who does art full time is that successful artists have a routine. They set aside time every day to create. And whether you choose to create or not is up to you, but you need to allow yourself a specific time to make something. So Stephen King, for example, blocks out 4 hours at the beginning of every day to sit down and write. Now, does he write every day? He says no. But when he goes to sit down and he forces himself essentially to write, he realizes that him writing is much easier than him just sitting there doing nothing. So he chooses to write anyways, okay? But also at the same time, you don't have to be extremely rigid, right? It's okay to be spontaneous. This lecture right here was a spontaneous idea that I came up with while I was sick in my room, not feeling like I wanted to create art today. So I instead decided to make this. And this is stimulating to me because it's bringing an idea that's in my head into something that's tangible, and I'm explaining it to you, right? And I think the most important part of creating every day is becoming a lifelong learner, right? Your talent will only take you so far, so you need to read, experiment with new tools, learn new software, stay up to date with industry trends, and learn about other disciplines that will complement your skill set, right? So all of this is part one. This is creating every day. Okay? Once you found a way to create every single day, you can move on to step two, work in public. So we're gonna do a quick story time here. So before I was a full-time artist or creator or whatever you wanna call it, I worked a bunch of different jobs in college, after college. And one of the jobs I worked at after college was a BMW restoration shop. We essentially serviced BMWs and restored classic cars. Now, I needed this job because I wasn't a full-time artist yet, but also I was just interested in fixing my own car, and I wanted to know how to do that, and I wanted to acquire that skill so that no matter how old I got or wherever I lived in the world, I'd be able to fix my own car, right? And so I worked there, but I also ended up learning this entirely new idea of working in public, right? So this shop had no social media. The shop had only 4 employees. The shop had a limited online presence, just a website that was extremely outdated, by the way. Yet, this shop is known in the BMW community internationally as a legendary shop. It makes millions of dollars every year selling rare parts and restoring cars for customers. The phones ring hundreds, literal hundreds of times per day from customers all around the world, asking questions, trying to get parts, or trying to have their cars serviced at the shop. Cars were literally imported from places as far as Sweden on boats just to get serviced at the shop in California. You may be asking, how is this possible? The owner, who's been in business for almost 50 years, has built a reputation for doing great work. How did he build this reputation? Well, he was creating every day in the form of fixing and restoring cars, right? He began to acquire lifelong skills that others don't have, that helped him make money in this domain. So he'd fix cars that a lot of people weren't working on or didn't have the knowledge to fix, right? And with that comes a lot of things, knowing what specific parts can go in the car, where to order them, what the supply chain is like, are they available, right? And it's interesting because, you know, when you're learning something new every day, you end up with a fat stack of skills that help you make money. And it turns out that when you do something every day for 50 years, you become pretty fucking good at what you do. Excuse my French. All right? It allowed this business owner to pivot from initially just fixing cars to then leveraging his knowledge of these cars to sell the parts needed to build and or fix these cars, to eventually restoring these old cars that he spent 50 years working on and learning about. He did good work, and word spread through word of mouth, car forums, and by sponsoring car events over the last 5 decades. So why am I telling you this? Why is this important? So if a 70-year-old man who's the owner could do this before the internet even existed, then you have no excuse not to do this while living in the digital age. Prior to the internet, we needed newspapers, networking events, and billboards, right? But today, we just need to post something online, and there's an opportunity for the entire world to see it. And that's something that's really powerful, and I think a lot of people take that for granted. You don't have to share everything, and trust me, I've tried that, and it becomes a little weird. When I was 18 years old, I vlogged for 365 days straight. I made about 70 videos about my life, and I wouldn't recommend that. I won't get into those reasons now, but I just want you to know that I've been there and I've tried it, and I'd say that you don't have to share everything, but you need to let the world in on what it is you do, right? You could be the best at what you do. You could be 100 times more skilled than someone else. You could be 100 times more unique and interesting than someone else, and you could be 10 times smarter than someone else. But if you don't share what you're doing, nobody will know. And if nobody knows, nobody will hire you. You will not get work. You will not be seen. You will not be able to do this full time. And it's really as simple as that. There are people infinitely less talented, less hardworking, and less interesting that are making a full-time living with art online. Purely because they put themselves online. They networked with others and became known for what they do. You cannot be a full-time artist if no one sees your work. You don't have to share everything. It's okay to keep some projects for yourself. I have plenty of projects that are just sitting on a hard drive on my computer that I don't feel comfortable sharing with the world, but I'm proud that I made it, right? Because Probably the reason you got into art in the first place is to create for yourself, and that's really important, right? But you'll find that others will naturally be attracted to what you make if you just take the time to share it with the world. So pick a platform or a couple. This could be Instagram, X, TikTok, or YouTube, and then share your work on them. This is how you get people to notice what you do, and this will eventually open up opportunities to get you hired once you're good enough. It also opens up opportunities to meet other like-minded individuals, collaborate with other talented people, and attract a community that's interested in the same things that you are. You build trust and accountability, and then eventually you become the guy or girl who does X or Y thing. People will come to you to fix their problems as long as you show them that you have the solutions. You won't even have to do much selling. People will already want what you can do. And that's because your past work serves as the proof. And that's why it's important to work in public, okay? So once you've started creating every day, and you're working in public, and you're building momentum, you can move on to the third step. And this one's really important. This one is teach everything you know. So you might be thinking, why would I give away the secrets I spent years learning? Well, even if you give away the secrets of how you do something, no one in the world will be able to do it just like you. You're not a commodity, okay? I mean, some of the skills you have might be a commodity, but you're a complex being with your own set of beliefs, inspirations, knowledge, and a combination of a bunch of different skills, right? Others can try and copy you, but you're always going to be one step ahead. So if you're worried about people copying you or what you do, stop worrying about that. I love this quote. It says, "Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime." Right? If you feed a person for a lifetime by sharing what you know, they will be forever grateful. They will feel like they owe you something. They will attribute a small part of their success to you. Down the line, they may want to return the favor, whether that is in the form of hiring you for a project, recommending you to a friend, or buying one of your digital products, for example. But even if they don't, that's completely fine. Because at the very least, you have another person in your community. Those are just more eyes on what you're doing. From a business perspective, you can even sell the information. And that's why the whole info products courses are booming right now, right? People will pay to learn from the source. People want to speed up their journey. People want to decrease the time it takes to get to where they want to be. And even if someone doesn't pay monetarily, they will always be paying with either their time or attention. Okay? So you might also be thinking, who am I to speak on the subject? Who am I to be a teacher? Well, there's this misconception that only experts can teach, and I think this is so flawed, right? This is wrong because this specific approach limits the vast potential of shared knowledge, right? Teaching actually just requires a small lead in understanding over your audience. You know, what's obvious to a seasoned professional might be a revelation to a novice. And if you've been to university, you've probably known this to be true. Some of the most well-respected professors are at the heart researchers, right? With various academic contributions in their respective domain. But sometimes they end up being the worst teachers. You know, being a good teacher is about breaking down complex ideas into something that is easily digestible and presenting it in a way that sticks with the students, right? This is a skill in and of itself. And the interesting thing is that teaching makes you a better teacher because it forces you to revisit the material and understand it well enough to teach it to someone else. And over time, your expertise will grow and you'll one day be known as an expert in your field. The ability to communicate these ideas is powerful, and the ability to communicate the nuances of a skill is even more powerful. And the secret here is to just teach what you're learning or what you've just learned a few years ago. Focus on creating material that teaches one specific persona of person, right? Don't make a video for everybody. Make a video for one person that will be impacted by what you have to say, and just focus on that one person. And for the purposes of this lecture today, for example, I'm speaking to creative entrepreneurs or artists who want to find a way to monetize what they do. Okay? This is how to become a full-time artist in 3 steps. And this is exactly what I did to become a full-time artist, working for myself, not having a boss per se. And to recap, it's really as simple as this. Okay? Create every day. And while you're doing this, you're building skills, you're learning new things, you're growing, you're changing, and you're evolving, and you're aligning yourself with your purpose here in the world. Okay? And then you start working in public. You let the world know what you're working on. You stack proof that you do what you say you do through tangible products. You don't have to speak about what you do. You can just point people in the direction of your portfolio and let that do all of the talking. And lastly, you teach what you know. You reinforce your own knowledge, you share your process with others, and you give valuable information to your target audience. If you do these 3 things, you will be able to create art full-time, I promise you. And if you have any questions or you want to learn a little bit more about this, you can check out my Instagram here or my website here to see some of the projects I've worked on, as well as read some of my articles where I talk about topics like this. But if you've enjoyed, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more. I'm hoping that this video resonated with a few of you. I know this isn't for everyone, and it's probably not going to do super well on my channel, but that's okay, because I made this for the 16-year-old version of myself that needed to hear this. And if you're one of these people, I'm happy that I could help you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.